It's Caleb. And hence Hebron down to the present has remained a possession of Caleb. So down to when? When did God write this? Well, he didn't write it. That people wrote it, because they say down to the present day. When is the present day? When we're writing this, whenever that is. The descendants of Caleb are in Hebron. Tradition of their family. Okay, so then we give some of the genealogies of Judah, since Caleb is a Judahite. Now chapter 16, well, we can say the end of 15 again. 1563. And the sons of Judah did not drive out the Jebusites who live in Jerusalem. The Jebusites live in Jerusalem side by side with the sons of Judah, as they still do today. When is that? Again, the present. And look, they didn't even have Jerusalem. Well, that may give you a good dating tool here. That this was written before the Davidic conquest, because David conquered Jerusalem about 1000 BC and built the temple there. Yeah.
Old Testament kind of reads like more history than theology.
Oh, of course.
As you oppose it to the Quran, which is almost purely theology.
Oh, of course. There's no comparison.
Is there any scholarship on how they created a religion out of historical books? I mean, God almost seems as a secondary character here.
Well, you're asking a back to front question. Those other people made a religion out of this. Paul and Muhammad and people like that, by selectively taking things and making a theology. This is not a theology book. This is how do you make Hinduism out of India? India is a pastiche of culture, traditions, gods, history, literature, and so on. That's what this is. This is the culture and literature of a people. So this is not, the religion happens to be part of it. I don't think Jews today know what Judaism is. So, I mean, you're asking a question. Judaism isn't like Christianity or Islam, that you can go 1, 2, 3, 4 and enumerate what it is. Just honor some of the traditions that are spoken of in books like this. So it isn't, I believe in Jesus Christ and I'm saved, or there are 5 pillars of Islam and that's it. No, it isn't like that. It's any Jew, ask a Jew, they don't even know what it is themselves.
So would you argue that the reason that it's, or the fact that it was so historical is the reason that the Reform or Reconstructionists are able to still identify themselves with the religion?
Well, the question you're asking are modern theological problems, which frankly, I'll be honest, really don't interest me because they have no answer.
I can definitely tell.
No, they don't interest me because that's not for this class. I'm going to do a modern Jewish thought Zionism class next year. You're welcome to come in and discuss those questions. But I mean, an Old Testament class, we're dealing with the book that we have before us, not what people make of the book. There's nothing, I want you to learn about the book if you want to talk about theology. But I absolutely don't want to talk about theology because there's nothing to talk about theology here. That's a much later subject. Rabbis might talk about theology as a Reconstructionism. That's 3,500 years later. Half of the Jewish people I know don't even read the Old Testament anyway. I've never even met any of them that know 3/4 of what's in here. They always go by what Rabbi this said, Rabbi that said in the 600 AD period, or what Hillel said, or this other person, or that other person. And they don't really relate to the Old Testament. They read a few choice passages and that's it. So I'm trying to get you to be able to read the Old Testament yourself. The conclusions you want to draw is you don't want me to go through the stuff. You want me to talk about theology. I feel that is a conclusion you have to deal with yourself. That is not I'm not a preacher or a theologian to draw theological answers. That's for you to decide. I can lay them
My
again.
question was more aimed at, I don't see how a theology could be drawn.
Well, that's not such so you don't see, but it's nothing to
I
do.
was wondering.
No, but I mean, it's nothing to do with me because, frankly, I'm not trying to draw theology out of here. And I'm just trying to see what the book says. Anyone who wants to draw a theology can do it themselves. So you can do whatever you want. Paul has his theology. Muhammad has his theology. Rabbi this has his theology. Madonna has her theology. I met Madonna. She says, whatever I say Kabbalah is, that's what it is. Well, okay, Madonna, fine. But I can't argue or discuss things like that with people. That's a matter of point of view of a person who's looking for meaning in life. And I'm only teaching, I'm not trying to look for meaning in life, because I don't think you'll ever find it necessarily. So I'm just looking to raise up your cultural awareness and heritage of what's in the book and what the issues and problems are for you to decide what you want to make of it afterwards. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. I want to try to get through this book because there's an awful lot to go through. So if we had a problem, if we had a possibility, and if these classes were big enough, plus if we had the money at Cal State, we'd have discussion sections where we'd have graduate assistants and others, if we had the proper university here, would be able to be funded to lead these kinds of discussion sections, because they are important things to chat about. But the problem is that when we do that, we just take away from what we're doing in the other things, and we can't get through the material. So I understand what your dilemma is. Anyway, I'm going to teach a modern Jewish thought Zionism class next year, and that might be interesting to discuss what Reconstructionists and historical school people and conservative Jews or Orthodox Jews think of this material and so on, or make of it. But I don't know how they get a religion out of here myself. But on the other hand, how do Hindus get a religion out of what they do? I mean, and do we want a religion out of something? I mean, isn't that a personal matter? I mean, you have to organize a religion around something. This is an incredibly interesting ancient cultural document with a lot of power. And if you compare it to the Koran, and you can bang me over the head for saying that, we've just been doing the Joseph story in the Koran, and I don't think there's any comparison between the Joseph story in the Koran and the Joseph story here.
The power the book has is due to the theology that it evokes.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the power at all. What theology? I mean, the power is that it's powerful. That's a powerful literature here, and it moves you. And if you want to look at the world in terms of their outlook, a God or something moving through history, that's your conclusion to draw. I hope that, in fact, such a God is there. I'm certainly happy if he or she is, but it's not something that I can conclude. Of course, because I don't think this is written by divine hands. It's written by human beings. And I'm showing you over and over and over again where it's written by human beings. Maybe inspired by such a force of power. I frankly feel that it would be very exciting if it were. Very exciting. I would hope that God is still moving through history, but when